Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and to part 2 of this beautiful blouse. Thank you so much to my subscribers and welcome newcomers. I hope that you're going to be part of this journey by subscribing, hitting that bell notification, and give it those thumbs up. Very important to circulate the video. We're going to continue on the part 2 blouse. Now, I have closed one side, which, like I mentioned, this size is full medium to a large. So I have 5 squares, granny squares wide and 5 length. On the last 2, you don't close up. Now, for people that have larger arms, you leave completely 2 on the side, not closed. Okay. For people that have thinner arms like myself, I don't want the sleeve to be too wide coming from the shoulder down. So what I did was I've closed only on the little square. So normally people that have larger, bigger arms, they would leave this whole section open, only tie it here on the edge. Okay, so that would be number 4 square going up to the shoulder. So you would only attach it here on the front to back, and you'd leave the rest open. I've closed only one because I want it a little bit more tighter on the arm. So this would be the underarm pit. And also, I didn't want it to be too wide from the shoulders open. So normally you would close one square only, front with back. Okay, as you can see, this is the sleeve. And you can see it's, thin enough, I guess, for my arm. But I didn't want it too wide up top, like almost hanging off the shoulder. So I didn't want that. Normally you would only close a square for people that want it to be more, if they have more like a wider shoulder, a larger cage up top. So you would just close back to front on the 5th square up top, okay? In my case, again here, I've closed here and I've closed only one. So I've closed only one here, but I did not close it here. So I didn't complete 2 squares. I did 1 and a half, let's say. This would be the half because these are the 2 corners. Okay, so this is how I closed up top, which I will show you. So this is the neck area. And because I have a small neck and a small head, this fits perfect because I've already tried out. So when you are doing the last 4 squares here up top in the corner, which is 4 and 5. So just before the last one, in order to close the half, like I did on this side, okay, like I did here, you will have to close it on your 4th one as you're creating it, and then continue on the 5th one to close completely. Okay, so you pretty much would do your square, your 5th square. You'd add it on normally, 5th square up top, but the 4th one on the wideness, and then you would come, you do your 4 double triple, you'd come in the center here, close it with a single, same thing as we've been doing. It's just that I'm closing a little bit more closed in because I don't want it to be just right off the shoulder. I want it to cover my shoulder completely. So this is why I'm doing it. But you can do only 1 square, okay? And you could also leave the 4 squares completely on the sleeve if you have a wider arm. Okay, my arms are very thin, so it's almost like a toothpick. So I don't need to 1, 2, 3, and 4. I don't need it too wide on this blouse. I want it to be a little bit more tighter. So then you would come to your normal center here, close it in, for chain, come back and finish your group. That's why I always say that's important to look ahead of the video, because there could be changes that sometimes I'll make as I'm going, since I'm just creating it as I go. I don't make plans. For a lot of times I have a vision and end up with something else. And that's like very common in my case. I have something planned, but never comes out what I have planned. It comes out up until some point, but not completely. Okay, so you'd finish up your group here. 1 chain, because we're still going to add the last 5th one on the corner. Okay, so close your square. Okay, you guys, we are on the 4th one, going to the shoulder. So this is the shoulder. I'm going to do the 4th. I'm going to attach it here on the group to start off. Okay, we're not for some of you that have larger arms, you're going to leave 2 out. In my case, my arms are thinner, so I'm going to attach it from here, so it doesn't give me a big gap on my arm. I want it a little bit tighter. So I'm just going to start off with the half here. So if you have small arms, you can pretty much start from the groups here in the center of the 4th. So we're not completely closing number 4, just tightening up a little bit more for the smaller arms. If you have bigger arms, then you leave your 2 squares out without closing, because you need it for the arms, right? This is the arm section. Okay. Now I've already created my sleeve on the other side, which I'll show you in a second. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're gonna continue. Now, because we don't have the proper translation for certain stitches in English, because our meaning has totally different meaning than the English one, I'll give you an example. You guys say single crochet. If I was to translate it that in Portuguese, that means it's a single person. Let's say someone's single, someone not married. So imagine that, right? Okay, so we're going into the next one before I get confused, because then I start yapping and I forget where I'm at. And so the sleeves that I did, you guys call it the Solomon's sleeve, or not sleeve, stitch. We call it, imagine that. So for this stitch, you guys call it the Solomon stitch, or the not stitch, the Solomon knot, or the love knot, right? That's what you guys call this. We call it the secret stitch. So imagine that, trying to get the right codes in for you guys. Kind of complicated. Okay, so basically we'd close here and continue the group, and then we'd close on this side. So we gotta leave the top here open, because then we're gonna add the last one to close on the shoulder and on here. So, okay, because we've already closed one shoulder. So whatever you're doing on this side, you know you gotta do on the other side, right? And then I'll show you what I did here with my sleeve. I did my cuff exactly like my waistband. Okay. Now, of course, for the measurements of the sleeve, it depends on how long your arm is. I'm not going to tell you it's 30 rows, 40 rows, because if everybody's arms are different, just keep trying and see if you've reached already the length that you desire. Like mine comes right to here. And I have 34 rows, but that's for myself because my arms are long and I don't like them up here. I like it to be right there. I think it gives it a nice, chic, charm way of a nice blouse. So I like that to this length. So anyway, finish up yours and we're gonna just finish here and do it here. And then create the next one and close here, here, and of course up here. And we leave the side here open for the for this sleeve. Now, this sleeve, I did it from the right side, so I can have this little gap, you know, give it a little design, a little wall coming on the sleeve. But if you flip it inside out, you won't have this little wall here, this little 3D. It's just going to be flat. And I'll show you. If I turn around, say, you have no wall. But you would have to do it, put it on the wrong side like this in order not to have this wall. Okay, I wanted to have that little rusted, vintage, little 3D wall here. So that's why I did it on the right side. Okay, so continue yours and I'll continue mine. And we'll meet at the end. So you know that we're right. I have to add more thread. So we're pretty much covered only here because we got to leave this out for the arm. So this one's coming here. Then we have, okay, this one's going to come here. This is the fourth one. So we're going to do it this way. And then the fifth one, we're doing it this way, and then the top. So this is going to stay open over here. So very simple. Okay, everyone. So I pretty much did the fourth one, the length. So like I said, I want my shoulder to be a little bit tighter. I don't want it too loose. So this would be the under armpit. So on the fourth one, like I mentioned, I tied it only on the group, not on the corner, and then proceeded the same way. And I'm going to do the fifth one to finish it up. 2, 3, and 4. And of course, we're not closing because this is our shoulder part, our arm. One single to close in, and then proceed with the group. Attach it onto the fourth one. back and finish your group up. Onto the corner. For chain. For chain again. And complete your side. Onto the corner, to the shoulder, for chain, for chain again, and now we're going to close off the top of the shoulder. And then we're pretty much done with this. We're going into the sleeve. And then we're done. And you have a beautiful autumn blouse. Different than anybody else's, right? So we're closing the shoulder. Now, like I said, if your arms are a little bit bigger, then you don't close the number 4 and number 5 length, okay? So you can put your arms through it. Mine's are tiny. It's funny how we have weight in different places that shouldn't be there. But hey, you know, what can we say? It's part of our body. We have to embrace it. As long as we're healthy, right? Okay, so chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Close off right at the tip of the shoulder. 2, 3, and 4. This is so easy to create and such a beautiful blouse. You can wear it with so many different colors. You can wear it with black, with brown, with cream, with blue. It's just gorgeous. You can wear it with shorts even. Now is the perfect time for it too. Pants, skirts, you name it. I'm on my last group. And these are my own creations, people, just to clear that up. my design creation, I should say. I'm not the creator of triple crochets or double crochets, obviously, but this is my design creation. Go through some of the loops, make a knot, be secure that nothing's going to come apart, come down. I like to knot all my patterns, no matter what I'm doing. Just a way to be secure that when you're going to wash it and nothing's ever going to come apart. And there we go. So your shoulder is done. You have your arm. Everything is closed off the side. There's still enough space for the neck. And also don't forget, if you are wider from the shoulder up top, so you don't close this one, you would only close one. Okay, now we're going to start with the Solomon's knot, the love knot as they call it. Now, like I said, if you don't want to have this line coming in the outside, then you need to flip your blouse on the other side, on the inside, and do your stitch from the inside. First, we're going to start with the brown, with the edge, and then make our way up. And once we're done with the length, then we attach it on. So I'm going to teach you how. It's no different than the one that we did on the waist, exactly the same thing. The only thing is you have to keep measuring your wrist to make sure that you want that size. If it's the perfect size, make sure that you have to put your hands through it. So it's got to be still a little bit wide enough to get your hands. Some people's hands are larger from here. Like I'm tiny, I have long fingers, but I'm very tiny boned. So you have to make it on the perfect, you know, stretchy in order for your hand to go through. And I like it nice and tight, so I made mine nice and tight. So I didn't want too many of the, what do you call it, of the Solomon stitch. I didn't want it too wide, so I have it nice and tight all the way up to the shoulder. Okay, let's get started on that. So I have 15 rows for mine because, like I said, I'm small boned, so small wrists. Slip stitch knot. So this is the same way as we create the waistband. I'm going to do 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. I'm going to come back for a space. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So come back for space and do your double crochet. Next space. Make sure you're grabbing both. Can't think of the name. Good God. Threads, I guess. Loops. There we go. Came to mind. Sometimes the mind just blocks. So on my other one, I have 13. So I'm going to fit in 13 into this one also, okay? So very simple. Make sure you grab your 2 loops here, not just one, or it's going to pull too much on one loop. So you got to make sure you have both loops into the needle. How many I have here? I have to have the same amount as the other side. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. Come on now. Gotta grab both loops. I don't want just one loop. It's gonna pull. This is my 12. 13. Now, normally when you have extra over here, it's very simple. All you have to do is just take down this little knot here. So you can make, you know, a chain, and if you think you have too much, you can just pull it here. Take this first one out, the slip stitch knot out, and just pull and pull it together. And there you go. Yeah, I have my 13. And then you can just, you know, tuck away this one in the bottom. Make sure you give it like a nice little knot here. We don't want nothing to come apart. Just like that. And then just pull the thread through some loops. Just to make sure that everything stays secure in. Then if you have leftover thread, you can cut it. Okay, so mine is 13, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13. Now I'm going to do 20 rows. Now this is the same thing like the waistband, back loops only. Whoops, taking it apart already. So close that up. 1, 2, 3, turn around. Back loops only, people. So we don't do the first one here. We're going to the next one because the first one's already done with the chain. Okay, so using these back loops, so we can get that effect. It also gives it a little bit of elastic effect also. Make sure that you don't forget your last one, because it's so common to forget it. God knows how many times I have forgotten in a lot of patterns, and then I'm like halfway up, and then nothing, you know, I kept curving, nothing was being done properly. So what I like to do is I like to make sure that I count every time: 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13. So chain 3 again, and again the same thing. Back loops only, always, until your desired length of your wrist. Okay, so I'm going to continue mine, continue yours, and then we'll go into the love knot, the Solomon's knot as you call it. Okay, so I'll meet you at the end. Okay everyone, so I pretty much did my 20 rows. Now I'm just going to add it on to the first one here, right on the corner. Exactly the first one with a slip stitch. I'm going to turn it around. I'm going to make sure that they're lined up properly. And I'm going to grab the first one here with the first one here. I think my thread is too loose. We don't want it to be too loose. Okay. I'm going to slip stitch. If you feel more comfortable on stitching, then by all means go ahead. And we're into the second one here, and into the second one in the back. Well, the first loop in the back, I should say. I'm going to slip stitch, and then again. So nothing to it, very simple. Just make sure that they are lined up, because you don't want a twisted band, right? And tie it enough so it doesn't become an opening with this stitch here. So slip stitch through all of them. taking this loop here and the first one in the back. So not the back loop, but the first loop, okay? Now, normally when I do this, I like to use the smaller hook. I don't know why I didn't, but anyway, I'm at the end already. I think it's easier with the smaller hook, so I'll get my last one here because it's a tight stitch. So I'm going to grab it here on the very last one and the very last one here and pull through it. And I'm just going to go one more time just to make sure that it's going to lock in like that. Cut my thread, pull through, and then just grab the thread through the loops back here, give it a knot. And there's no right or wrong on this because of the effect of the wrist is the same on both sides. So we're going to turn it around, inside out. Give it a nice little pull. And there it is. So of course it's always a little bit tighter here because of the first chain that we did, but no worries. Okay, now we're going to start with the slips and the Solomon's knot. Now, because we have this one like this over here, so you'd have it pretty much turned down this way, right? Once you put it adding onto the shoulder, of course, because you know the Solomon's knot is going to be all the same all the way up. Okay, let's get started on that. Slip stitch knot. It doesn't matter at this point where you start. You can start anywhere. So you'd grab right in between the joint of your rows and single. Try to hide your thread while you're going at it. Now, we have to give it a distance, so not too long, not too short. You'd pull your thread, but hold it, okay? Because you need to hold this thread here because we need to go through it again. And you always have to have the same size. So back into that thread and single. Stretch again a bit. Back in. And single, okay? Now, I'm going to skip this first one here. And I'm going into the next one, like that. Again, the same length more or less, because you want to have it the same size. Back into that back thread, single, stretch it out, back in, single. Skip the first joint here, going to the next one. Stretch it a bit, slip stitch through it, go into the back thread, single, stretch a bit, slip stitch through it, back thread, and then a single again. So skip the first join here and into the second one. So it's going to look like this. We'll fix that. We'll tie it in here afterwards. And we're going to do this all the way around. So skip one and keep going. If you want to make it tighter, then you do only one and not two if it's very small, or especially if you're doing for kids, you know, do only one Solomon knot and not two. If you are a larger wrist, then do 3, okay? So it can be larger on your arm here, okay? I don't want it large. I want it to be just nice fit. So that's why I'm doing 2. But when we're getting up to this area here, I'm going to have to do 3 because it's a larger area here than here, right? But I'll show you as we get there.